founder, managing director, and senior audiologist at the Wellbeing by Cubex. Welcome and many thanks for attending this live event, where we are launching Oticon Zeal and unveiling this truly groundbreaking evolution in hearing technology. We've enabled closed captions and live transcriptions, but you may need to activate this on your computers if you've not already done so. The caption button should be on the bottom bar of your screen. We're also recording this session to make this available to you and other people afterwards, which is another good reason for asking you to switch off your cameras. Microphones off as well. If they're on, enable live captions, settle back and enjoy this session. First of all, make no mistake, Oticon Zeal is exceptional, and I was thrilled and delighted to be invited to an almost exclusive unveiling of this to the world in Denmark 4 or 5 weeks ago. And now we're launching Zeal here in the UK. In fact, currently it's only been launched in Denmark, Switzerland and the UK, and won't be rolled out to other countries and other markets until next year. But for those of us that know us, we were previously Cubex Audiology, and we became the Wellbeing by Cubex just a few years ago. But in truth, we've always understood the connection between reducing hearing and well-being, because we witness it every day, and communicating with ease and with as little effort as possible is a fundamental need. As we move through life, what we hear and the way that we hear it is essential to our well-being, and it shapes our experience like almost no other sense does. Daily, we witness people who become observers rather than participants, and they remove themselves from the conversation due to their fears, embarrassment, anxieties, and frustration. It is just such an effort to participate in everything that's going on if you're hearing impaired or if you have reduced hearing sensitivity. In our clinic, we have a bottom-up, or ears to brain, and top-down, brain to ears approach. And at the Wellbeing by Cubex, we truly understand the connection between the brain and the impact that this can have when speech is compromised due to untreated or reduced hearing. With a reduction in hearing sensitivity, it is even more of an effort in more challenging listening environments, which require much deeper concentration when our resources are already depleted. For those of you here who are early adopters of appropriate treatment and care, congratulations. It's never too early to reduce the effort of communication, and delaying this will result in increased effort, reduced participation, avoidance, and all of this is maladaptive coping and may lead to accelerated cognitive decline. Oticon Zeal is remarkable, as you will learn, bringing something completely new and different to hearing care. It will be a game changer for many, but it will not be for everybody. Zeal complements existing Oticon brain hearing technology rather than replaces it. Zeal is incredibly small, is discreet, and fully customized with one of the highest performing microchips available anywhere in the world today. But despite its tiny size, it's rechargeable. It can stream audio from your mobile phones, iPads, and other devices directly into your ears. This is what makes Zeal so unique. Zeal will be a game changer for many. It is truly extraordinary, and it is unseen. We expect the session to run for about 50 minutes, maybe 55, including 10 minutes at the end for questions, which we'll do our best to answer during the time that's been allowed. For any unanswered questions, we'll reply after the session closes. In a moment, I'm going to be introducing Alison, who you already see on your screens. Alison is a personal friend and an incredibly knowledgeable and gifted colleague. Some of you may know Alison from previous online events, where we discussed research and shared insights into why providing your brain with more relevant, precise, and complete information really matters. Oticon, as one of the leading global manufacturers of hearing technology, has a strong focus on neuroscience. The term brain hearing is what Oticon trademarked and used to describe their approach to hearing technology to make listening easier, less effort, all of which frees up the capacity to understand the conversation and provide you with better access to things like remembering and recalling information. To achieve this objective, we need to understand how the brain processes sound and what it needs to do this effectively and with as little effort as possible. Over 2 decades, Oticon have been developing algorithms that bring us closer to this ultimate goal, giving hearing aid wearers the most natural, easiest way to process sound. In her presentation, Alison will discuss this in a bit more detail. Alison is an audiological scientist, and she's the National Training Manager for Oticon in the United Kingdom. She has a passion for teaching, and she's continually inspired by the life-changing impact of developments in hearing technology. Over to you, Alison.
Thank you so much, Adam, for that lovely introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. It is lovely to see so many of you join us this afternoon. Bear with me while I just sort out my slide share. Could I have Inga or someone confirm that you can see the slide on the screen?
We can see it. Thanks, Alison.
Excellent. Thank you so much. At Oticon, this is what we do. Throughout our 121-year history, our goal has been to transform the lives of people with hearing loss and to drive the future of hearing care forward. Part of that journey has been developing and pioneering the brain hearing approach to sound processing. We understand that everyone wants to be able to engage freely in conversations, but that shouldn't be at the expense of being connected to your surroundings, as so many hearing aid brands still do today. Now, we are going to continue to push the boundaries of what's possible with sound processing, bringing everyone that uses our technology ever closer to that natural engagement with the sound space around them. But Oticon is also about changing the status quo. And these are some of the innovations that have defined Oticon over the last 30 years or so. These include pioneering the first digital hearing aid. Back in the early 2000s, Oticon Delta was the first hearing aid that didn't really look like a hearing aid. We were also the first to introduce the first truly wireless solution and the first hearing aid with onboard AI. But where are we at as a profession of hearing care professionals and hearing care providers today? Well, there are still some who look at the technology that's available, but are mainly driven by discretion. So they're looking for the smallest, most discreet solution possible. And although we provide extremely high-performing solutions in over-the-ear styles, they're really looking for something in the ear. And that's where we as audiologists need to go and start having a conversation about what we need to compromise on, as it simply hasn't been possible to provide all the functionality that a person is looking for in a very, very tiny, discrete solution. That is, until today.
They said it couldn't be done. They said I'd have to compromise. They said I couldn't have it all. Well, here I am, coming into the world in a way you've never seen before. I am proof that the impossible is possible. Built from the stuff of legend. To be tougher, stronger, smarter, smaller. Containing universes of unseen innovation. I am everything you expect. With all the extras they said would never be possible. I'm discreet, I'm connected, I'm powerful. I look, feel and sound amazing. And I'm made to make life easier. That's right, I do have it all. Here I am. I'm ready. Are you?
And so for the first time, we can now drive the conversation with a hearing aid user, not about what we have to compromise on, but rather offering a solution with all of the things that you need and expect. So that includes a very discreet, tiny style, the connectivity to your phone and other devices, and the option to recharge the solution that you expect from modern technology. Also, with the AI sound processing that you need to converse freely in a wide range of different situations, and the flexibility for your hearing care professional to optimize the solution for you as and when you need it. Now, part of what makes Oticon Zeal so special is the processing inside the instrument. Although it's very tiny, it packs a punch when it comes to sound processing. And that's thanks to our next generation AI technology. I'm going to come back to this in a little while, but first I'd like to share with you some of the aspects that make Oticon Zeal so unique and something completely different to anything else you'll find in hearing care today. The first aspect is the fact that it is a brand new style of hearing solution. Nothing else quite like it exists. Hearing aids are generally divided into two types, those that go behind your ear and those where the whole thing goes inside your ear. Over-the-ear styles are mainly today offered in what we call RITE, or receiver in the ear, which make them reasonably discreet and actually very practical for a lot of people, but still the device has to go behind your ear. In-the-ear solutions are mainly custom devices, which means that all the components are contained in a custom-made shell specifically for your ear. And whilst that's a desirable solution for some people, it also comes with a lot of compromise. Oticon Zeal is a whole new category of in-ear solutions, which we're calling next in the ear. It's not so much custom-made as a pre-made solution, which comes with a number of benefits, but still with the possibility to customize and optimize the solution to meet your acoustic needs and your audiological needs. This new style was designed thanks to inspiration of millions of different ear scans in our database. We found the exact right size, shape, to suit as many ears as possible. Now, Adam mentioned that Zeal is not for absolutely everyone. There are many reasons why a different solution might be suitable for you. But we wanted to be sure that as many people as possible could use Oticon Zeal and that it would fit in as many ears as we could achieve.
Posso bene.
We were able to get the solution so very, very small thanks to a brand new engineering or production technique called encapsulation. Now, encapsulation is used in other industries, most notably in spacecraft and wind turbines. A little closer to home in the medical field, you'll also find this is how pacemakers are made. Encapsulation has been optimized here for tiny, tiny production of hearing aids. It means that we can make the solution much more compact, because instead of taking all the electronic parts and placing them on a chassis, which is then covered by a protective shell, we encapsulate all those parts so that they're fully sealed. And that means that there's no wasted space in between the components. It also means that the solution is incredibly durable, as it's just not subject to the same forces that hearing aids normally are, mainly moisture and vibrations. A good way to understand it is by this comparison to amber. So amber is formed from tree resin, and when tree resin is poured or goes around something like a little leaf or a branch in this example here, and then it hardens, that little branch is completely encapsulated and perfectly preserved for millions of years. And it's the same idea with encapsulation that we've used to produce Oticon Zeal. Now, hopefully our production techniques take a little bit longer, a little bit quicker than that. So I've got another little video here to give you a flavor of how we go about producing these devices.
Oticon has been pioneering hearing aid technology for over 120 years. Known for pushing boundaries in sound, design and engineering. As a global leader, Oticon continues to drive innovation. That's why we're introducing the world's first hearing aid fully sealed through a complete micro-encapsulation. This is Oticon Zeal, a device that redefines industry expectations and sets a new benchmark for hearing aid and manufacturing innovation. Oticon Zeal proves that it is possible to integrate all the features of a modern hearing aid into an ultra-compact form factor, one designed to disappear in the ear. The journey begins in our amplifier production, where the brain of Oticon Zeal is created. Unlike traditional rack-based designs that leave unused space, Oticon Zeal folds the amplifier around the battery, effectively making it more discreet. Its unique curved shape is inspired by insights from millions of ear impressions in our database, ensuring both an optimal fit and superior acoustic performance. To achieve encapsulation at this microscopic scale, something never done before in hearing aids, we had to invent entirely new production methods. It wasn't just about redesigning the product, it was about redefining how hearing aids can be manufactured. Our teams have pioneered advanced overmolding and encapsulation techniques, adapting processes once reserved for larger devices. With Oticon Zeal, we've pushed the limits of the encapsulation process, proving that Oticon can turn established technologies into groundbreaking innovation, effectively reducing the body size by half compared to a right instrument. Oticon Zeal is a hearing aid with unmatched structural integrity and environmental sealing. It is the future of hearing technology, delivering life-changing performance in the smallest possible form.
So the benefits of this encapsulation production method means we've been able to engineer a better hearing aid. It's able to survive the hostile environment that is an ear canal, which is warm and damp. And it means that there is no wasted space. So we've been able to really make that size smaller than it's ever been able to go before. The flexibility in the optimization allows your hearing care professional to customize the solution to meet your acoustic needs, but also your audiological needs right there in the consultation. Well, that's one of the limitations of custom-made devices where they have to send an ear impression away, kind of hope for the best that all the parts are going to fit as we expect them to, and then those come back sometime later. Whereas here, your audiologist can assess your candidacy for this device right there in the consultation. So it's a much clearer path forward of what to expect. And we can fit a wide range of earpieces from the flexible domes that go on the end, or a custom-made tip or a custom-made mold to ensure that we get the optimal fit and the most comfortable fit for you. Now, all of the parts are one fixed unit in Oticon Zeal, and that means that regular maintenance is absolutely key to the success of the solution. So we highly recommend at least monthly change of both the dome and the wax filter, and if in doubt at all, that those should be changed even more often. Another part of the magic of the design of Oticon Zeal is the antenna. So that's the part that sits in the outer section or the concha of your ear. It actually does 3 jobs at once. First, it provides a stable connection to your phone and other electronic devices. Second job is it helps the device to anchor securely in your ear. And thirdly, this is what you would grab onto to pull the device out of your ear. And we have tested all of these functions extensively to ensure that they perform reliably and that they're highly, highly durable. And having this antenna design is part of what has enabled the body of the device to be smaller and also to sit more deeply in the ear canal. Now, just in case you're wondering, this is indeed an electronic part, although it looks quite similar to a part in some of our other hearing aids, which is not electronic. It is electronic, and that means it's really important not to cut it or try and adapt it in any way. So that first function of that unique antenna is providing the connection to your phone and other devices. So Oticon Zeal comes with all the modern connectivity standards that you would expect. It's made for iPhone, and it also has Bluetooth LE audio, which is the new standard in Bluetooth streaming. We are for the first time also introducing compatibility with Auracast, which is a very exciting emerging technology, part of the Bluetooth specification. And I'll share a little more about that with you in a moment. There aren't any buttons on Oticon Zeal, but there are a number of ways that you can control the devices. So you could either use tap control, so just tapping on the end of the device or on the outside of your ear. We have a dedicated phone app for all Oticon hearing aids called Companion, which has a lot of functionality built in to allow you to engage with your hearing aids and control what they're doing. And then in iPhones and some Android phones, there are native controls for hearing aids. So in other words, built-in controls that you can work with there. Oticon Zeal is also compatible with our wide range of accessories. So let's say you have a different Android phone model that does not support Bluetooth LE audio. You could actually get the benefits of Bluetooth LE audio, which gives you very high quality stereo streaming that's hands-free, just by plugging in this little device called an Easy LE adapter. Now, this is a quick and easy way to get the best sound quality for streaming sound, your phone calls, your music, your videos. And if that's suitable for you, that's something that your audiologist would discuss with you. And then there might be other things that will work for your situation: an adapter for your TV, a remote microphone. So if you're looking for the ultimate in background noise reduction when you're conversing with someone in a very loud place, our Connect Clip or EduMic can provide that solution. And I promised I would talk a little more about Auracast. Now, Auracast is a way of broadcasting sound over Bluetooth to an unlimited number of devices, which is different to how Bluetooth normally works, which is just a one-to-one connection. Auracast is starting to be rolled out in more and more venues across the UK and across the world. And it's where you can tune in, if you like, to something like an audio stream in a theatre, or perhaps announcements in a train station or an airport. I'll show you briefly how it works. I've got an Auracast transmitter here called the Aura Loop. It's a little microphone that would sit on a reception desk. So if you're using a service like a post office or a bank, that microphone would be picking up the service provider's voice, and you could get that streamed directly into your hearing aids via Auracast. Now, I apologize for the low production quality of the little video I'm about to show you. This is literally just on my kitchen table, but it will give you a good idea. So there's the Aura Loop device sending out an Auracast transmission. And what I'm going to do is go to my iPad, although you would normally have the app on your phone. And if I tap the three buttons, the three dots in the bottom right corner, there I can select Auracast, and now I'll see a list of all the Auracasts available in that environment. So I've selected the one I want, and as quick and easy as that, I'm now listening to this Auracast broadcast. I can adjust the volume of the broadcast. I can also come out of there and adjust the overall level of the hearing aids while I'm still listening. And I can even go in and access some of the advanced features in the companion app, like the streaming equalizer. And that allows me to customize the sound quality of that broadcast if I wanted less bass, for example. And then when I'm done listening to the broadcast, I go back into the screen and hit disconnect. So it makes a lot of sense once you're using it for the intended purpose. You can see that it's really straightforward to go in and just select the sound that you want in a venue, just as easily as you would select the Wi-Fi signal if you went into a hotel or another venue where you wanted to hook into the Wi-Fi with your phone. And then Oticon Zeal is a rechargeable solution. You would charge it in a smart charger, which is also a travel charger. And the battery inside Oticon Zeal is a size 312. So if you remember the old disposable batteries, those were the ones in the brown packaging. And once you've seen Oticon Zeal in real life, you'll realize just how remarkable it is they managed to get that size of battery into a device this small. A full charge of that battery will give you 20 hours of battery performance, which is plenty for a full day's of use. And that's even with a significant amount of streaming. Oticon Zeal uses the same fast charging that we use in our other hearing aids on the same platform. So that means just 15 minutes of charge will give you 4 hours of use. So if you forget to charge your hearing aids for any reason, perhaps you fell asleep on the sofa, you could charge them while you're having a shower and getting dressed in the morning, and that would get you through the rest of your morning. A few important, points to note about the charger. When you're not using the hearing aids, it's important to keep them in the charger to keep them safe and also ensure that they don't accidentally go into a sleep mode. You would need the charger to reboot your hearing aid. So, for example, if you had to redo the connection to your phone, as sometimes that does happen with the Bluetooth in phones, then you would need the charger to reboot the hearing aids to do that. And it's also important to remember to close the lid when you're charging the hearing aids. Now I'd like to circle back to the technologies that are inside Oticon Zeal, as I promised at the start. Zeal is built on the Sirius platform, which is our latest hearing aid platform, and it enables a wide range of benefits, including better sound quality for music, our latest AI processing, and the future-proof audio streaming Bluetooth ALI audio. Oticon Zeal benefits from what we call the More Sound technology. So this is a suite of technologies or processing algorithms that Oticon has developed to support the brain in everyday situations. So it's these technologies that are delivering that very clear, clean sound quality that you expect from Oticon, and also providing very powerful reduction of the background noise. So, for example, these technologies include our second generation deep neural network. Now, that's a very technical term for a specific type of artificial intelligence, which gives us the ability to turn down background noises, the sounds that you don't want to hear that are interfering with your conversation, in a very, very precise way. I also want to point out that this type of AI is different from some of the other systems that are out there that are using a similar engineering technique to deliver their background noise reduction, in that this is always switched on. Now, many of those other systems you have to activate with a button or by changing a program. And they're only for the very loudest of listening situations. So there's only a very specific point in the day where they would provide you some benefit. We work differently with our second generation AI in that this is always on. It's just there to support you when you need it. Even if the sound situation that you're in isn't particularly loud, sometimes you still want a little bit of reduction of the things that are interfering with your conversation. So that is what this technology has been designed to do. Now, a few more things I want to share with you before we take some questions. And the first is a couple of highlights of our clinical evidence. I want to share the results of just 2 of the experiments that we did. We did 5 altogether. These are the most important ones. So the first was, does the performance of Oticon Zeal compare favorably to our other premium technology? And the second one is, how does this solution perform compared to other hearing aids of a similar size? So for our first research question, we found yes, Oticon Zeal performs very much on a par in terms of delivering speech understanding compared to Oticon Intent and Oticon ONSI, which are our other premium hearing solutions. If we then take the solution and put it in background noise and compare it to the performance of other solutions of a similar size, let's see what we find. Now, I should mention 2 of these competitor devices are custom-made styles. The other one also offers a same-day fitting option. So we tested this in 2 different conditions. The first was what we call technically a 0 dB input SNR, which means the noise and the speech are exactly the same level. So that's like a really, really, really loud restaurant. And we found, as we were kind of expecting, the improvement of access to speech in that background noise was very much favorable compared to the performance of the other solutions. The second condition was what we call a 5 dB input SNR. So the speech was just slightly above the background noise, but still really challenging to listen in that type of scenario. You could think of that as just a loud restaurant. And interestingly, Oticon Zeal actually performed even better by comparison to the other solutions in this moderately loud condition, which is where more people would find themselves more often compared to the very, very, very loud. Well, what does that actually mean for you in your day-to-day life? It means that wherever you happen to find yourself, you can expect these devices to support you and to give preference to the conversation that you want to hear. So in summary, Oticon Zeal is the first hearing solution to offer all of these things in one package. None of them are new in and of themselves, but for the first time, you can have all the things that you want in a hearing solution. The discretion that you're after, the tiny size, the connectivity and rechargeability that you expect, along with the AI sound processing that you need, and flexibility for your audiologist to personalize the solution to your audiological needs. Now, it is important to note that Oticon Zeal isn't for absolutely everyone. We still work with a wide range of different hearing solutions that will work for different people. So Oticon Zeal is for those who are looking for the ultimate indiscretion, for something very tiny that fits completely in your ear. There are considerations for your degree of hearing difficulty or your audiogram. So we're looking at between mild and moderate. That's a technical audiological term, but that's something your audiologist would discuss with you. We'd look at your ability to handle the devices and keep up with the maintenance, as they are very tiny and a bit fiddly, and also things like your ear anatomy and ear health. So if you produce a lot of earwax, that might be an indication that these are not quite the right solution for you. Another aspect to consider is the amount of contrast that your brain needs in order to listen successfully when there's a lot of sounds going on. And that's something we can measure very accurately, or rather your audiologist will measure with the audible contrast threshold or ACT test. This is a test that measures that contrastability, and it gives your audiologist a clear indication of which solution is going to be right for you, and also how to customize that solution to meet your needs according to your contrastability. I think I already mentioned earlier the importance of regular maintenance, so that's something that we would discuss with you as well. And then we would look at the physical fit. So there are several criteria that your audiologist would look at and would use a demo device to fit in your ear to see how it's actually sitting. So is it able to sit deeply enough in your ear? Is the microphone in the right position? Can the antenna sit comfortably in your ear canal? And does it look discreet when you look at it yourself in a mirror with the solution? And then things like physical comfort are, of course, important as well. By our measurements, we found a fit rate of 2 out of 3 people when fitted with a dome. So, of course, that isn't absolutely everyone, but it does mean that about 2/3 of ears will be suitable physical fit candidates for Oticon Zeal. Right, that brings me to the end of the slides that I have to share with you. So I think we will go to some questions and I'll hand you back to Adam to facilitate that.
Yes, thank you very much, Alison. Very fluent as ever. A couple of things. So obviously beforehand, I've had discussions with Alison and fed to her a couple of ideas that I might want to discuss at this point. But I'm sorry to say, Alison, I've thought of another couple. And I thought I might just run them by you quickly. But I'm just mindful that I really do want to leave some time at the end today. So if we can just try and keep the responses fairly short, if we can. There was a lot of emphasis, obviously there was last week when you did the presentation as well, on encapsulation. But today I really got to thinking about this encapsulation. I'm wondering about repairs. Because, you know, as a rule, Oticon technology is incredibly reliable, and we very rarely have any problems with the actual modules or the technology itself, other than the speakers, which of course we can quite easily change in clinic. I'm just wondering, with this encapsulation process, where all the componentry is quite literally encapsulated, how you as a manufacturer would manage those repairs, if necessary.
That's really an excellent question. We do have a way to handle the repairs, but it is quite important that the vulnerable parts of the solution are well maintained to ensure that those repairs are kept to a minimum. So whilst the inner parts are encapsulated, we do need to allow some openings for sound to get in and for sound to get out. So where sound comes in, that's through the microphone. There is a little replaceable cover on the microphone that we recommend changing regularly. And then where the sound comes out of the device, that's at the receiver. Now, the receiver does have to be open in order to deliver that sound. If we were to completely encapsulate it, there wouldn't be any opportunity for the sound to move out through the air. So it is really important that the receiver is protected as far as possible. And that's where the regular maintenance of changing the dome and changing the wax filter as often as you feel necessary. So we've said at least once a month, but if that needs to be more often than that, that's done to minimize the chance of a repair needing to be done, because that would mean that the whole device would have to come back to us. And that's different to the mini right devices, which I think you were referring to, where the speakers are exchanged in the clinic. So, you know, if there's any kind of concern from that point of view, then that's where a mini right solution might be more suitable for an individual.
Okay. Yeah, so prevention is better than cure, in your opinion.
Absolutely.
Okay. This, again, I'd love a short answer on, and I think that it might be quite a difficult one. So you said in your presentation earlier, giving preference to what you want to hear. And I wondered how this technology, what key features will allow them to give preference to what an individual would like to hear.
That's a really good question, because to an extent, the hearing aids have to guess. And I think that's true for all hearing aids, is they kind of have to guess what a person wants to listen to. So the most important sound that will always be prioritized is speech, is conversation. As human beings, we expect that you want to hear other human beings most of the time. There might be some exceptions to that, but wherever there is speech present in a in a person's environment, then we want to prioritize that. The way in which the noise reduction algorithms have been configured, they've actually learnt how to identify speech and other sounds to give that priority to speech, but then also to other environmental sounds, which might give the brain some context about what the person's listening to. And that's also really important because we don't only listen to conversation in a bubble, there's other stuff going on around us, and you don't want to cut a person off completely from the space around them. So exactly how we've done it would be difficult to say. The best I can offer is we've trained our artificial intelligence system to do it, but to explain how it's done, that's probably a more technical response than what we've got time for here.
Yes, quite possibly. And of course, maybe some of that technology is present in intent, which some people might already be
It
using,
is,
because that
yes,
uses the 4D hearing, which looks at head movements as well.
it does.
I'm advised that there is a couple of questions actually that have actually come in. So if we
Okay.
can perhaps just cut to those, I'm really conscious of
Yeah.
wanting to get questions in. Inga, have you got sight of the questions?
Yes, so Dennis Hall has asked, what are the pros and cons versus lyric?
Ooh, I love that question. Do you want to take that one, Adam, or shall I?
Oh, it's such different technology, Dennis. Lyric, for a start, is an analog system, as you're probably aware, and it sits about 4 millimeters from the eardrum. It's very, very discreet. It is what we call an extended wear device, which means that you can wear it for up to 3 months, and then either we would remove it as clinicians, or you might remove it yourself if you've been trained to do so. But there is no connectivity, first and foremost. It is analog. It uses very, very old technology, actually. From an audiological point of view, there's very little that we can do to customize it to your specific needs. There is absolutely no noise processing. We cannot separate noise from speech in any way at all. So in terms of technology, it's very similar internally to the technology that we were supplying 30 or 40 years ago. But the sound is very natural. A lot of people do enjoy it. It is something that fits around lifestyle, and can actually be worn for walking, running, swimming. And I think there was a question about swimming as well coming up in a moment that I saw. So there are some features and benefits with Lyric for sure. But overall, technically, technology is completely different and certainly significantly inferior to the Oticon technology. There was another question, wasn't there, Inga? Or two?
Yes, the second question is by Edwin, and he asked, is there an official waterproof rating on the devices? Would love hearing aids that are okay for water sport.
I'll take that one on. So these hearing aids are IP68 rated. That's the highest IP rating that that you can get. It means so IP stands for ingress protection, and the two numbers reference physical particles or dust and water. So the 6 and the 8 indicate that the devices are dust proof, first of all, and the 8 indicates highly water resistant. Now, the thing with hearing aids is it would be virtually impossible to say they are waterproof because you do still need to have outlets for sound to come in and for sound to go out. So you cannot completely exclude air and water from, from those components. The way in which the highly water resistant rating is achieved is we do actually submerge the devices in water at a depth of 1 meter for 2 hours. And then when we take them out, they're allowed to dry for 5 minutes, and then they're tested with some equipment and have to work to specification. So we know that these hearing aids are very durable, as in fact all our hearing aids are IP68 rated. However, we still do not recommend immersion in water or that they go near water. We know that they do in many cases, but officially we do not recommend waterproof. Now, I know there is one brand of hearing aid out there that have claimed that their solutions are waterproof. Interestingly, they don't have any different IP rating. I think that's a bold claim, and I think that they have more repairs than others, but that's my personal opinion, and I should probably stop talking there.
The water that those instruments were plunged into or are plunged into, is it fresh water or is it salt water?
It's fresh water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there can also be a lot more
yeah,
corrosion with salt water than there can with fresh water.
absolutely. Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to just talk very briefly about the ACT test that you touched on earlier. ACT, as you rightly said, is the auditory contrast test, and it's something that we have introduced into our clinic as long ago as 2 years ago, and it is a very, very valuable part of the testing protocols that we do, and perhaps even more so with Zeal, because the ACT test will look at the brain's ability to separate speech from noise. This is not a hearing test. It's a test of the brain's ability, and of course this will vary enormously. Musicians are extremely good at it, particularly classical musicians, conductors, and composers. They have the brain software to be able to separate different instruments from each other, and that's not a hearing function. That's a brain function, and the ACT test does allow us to perform this test on our clients and patients, and that data can then be seamlessly transferred over to the Oticon technology. And it can also be used for other manufacturers as well, but it's not automatically integrated in the same way. So this is something that we do routinely. As far as I know, we're one of only a handful of clinics throughout the United Kingdom that do it, because the test takes about 10 minutes, and it is incredibly expensive for us to get the license to run it on several of our computers. So that might be why a lot of people don't do it, but it's very, very valuable, and it will be part of the testing protocol for Zeal, because with a higher ACT score, that might suggest, by higher I mean a poorer ACT score, that might suggest they might be better suited to other technologies. So it's something that's really, really important in our view. I think that's probably as much as I really wanted to ask. And thank you very much for attending this event. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for the questions. Really do appreciate them, but very happy to answer any questions following this discussion, either in person, by email, over the telephone, whatever works for you guys. And as you can see, those are our email addresses of customerservices@thewellbeingbycubex.com or just host@thewellbeingbycubex.com. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Thank you, Alison, for your very eloquent presentation, and look forward to hearing from you with any other questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.